All right, I'll call to order the Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 Budget and Personnel Committee meeting. And I will open up the public comment. Anybody like to speak? All right, having none, we'll close public comment. I'll move for agenda adoption.
So move.
Second. All right. And now we'll move on to consider community support requests. Mr. Talbot, you want to walk us through this?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Every year for the last several years, the town has been budgeting a certain amount of money to use as support for different community groups. Most of them, or nearly all of them, nonprofits. Last year, 6 different groups were given a total of $26,000. And we likewise budgeted in this current budget year, FY26, we budgeted one line item for $28,000 for this purpose. We also 2 years ago tried to formalize this process by developing a town policy, which gives us guidelines for awarding community support. That's in your packet, and we also developed an application form, which is available online. This year, we asked for applications to be due by October 9th, and so far we have received 14 applications for community support. They are in your packet. The total ask for this year, if you add all applications, exceeds $40,000, which of course exceeds our budgeted amount of $28,000 for FY26.
Okay.
We got 28 total.
For this budget year, yes.
Can I give you this and you can mull over it? That's what I came up with. And that right there equals 20 grand. I mean 28. I'm not sure if I got that on there or not, though. I'm not sure if I got the after prom on there.
Oh, yes, it's in here.
Yeah.
Yes, small.
Oh,
Yeah.
the one.
I do think the after prom is very important.
Mhm.
That keeps
Oh,
our
yes.
keeps our kids.
Most definitely. So, all these, even ones that skip a couple lines, they're included in the 28 total.
Mm-hmm.
And,
But I-
just need an adjustment.
But I forgot that.
Yeah.
Be 29.
Yeah.
This is a company in here, so we're just going to make sure we have Mike's position.
That's just my thoughts.
So.
Oh, I did have after prom in here. I'm sorry.
So
I did have
yeah.
after prom. So that comes to 28 right there.
So I'll open up discussion. Any comments?
We have our normal donations of the library and the museum that we've done every year. The one that we have in here is a matching grant. That's a line item.
Separate.
That is separate. You've got things on here that are helps our kids, helps feed people, helps with with the art community, the village neighbors, even with the kitty rescue, the things that they do that are preventing more issues.
A nuisance.
Expansion, yeah, preventing expansion. Yeah, I like that. But they're all worthy causes. But what I've come up with, what I have is 5 for the library, which is a normal donation. Museum, 5, a normal donation. Kitty Rescue, they had asked for 1,500, but I put down 1,000. Food Closet, 1,000 they asked for. After Prom, 1,000 they asked for. Tennis, 1,000. PTSA they asked for 3. The Community House asked for 1. The CI Arts Organization asked for 2. North Accomack Little League asked for 10, but I got 4 down here. And Village Neighbors asked for 5, and I got 4 down here. And that total comes to 28.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
Okay.
Those totals.
And, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we have a motion to approve as read by Mayor Bowden.
I'm sorry, could I get, just to make it clear, could we just read it one more time?
Absolutely.
So we can make sure we get it in the minutes.
Go ahead.
Normal donation to the library, 5,000. Normal donation to the museum, 5,000. Island Kitty Rescue, 1,000. Food Closet, 1,000. After Prom, which is the pass after prom committee, 1,000. Tennis Association, 1,000. The PTSA, 3,000. The Island Community House, 1,000. Shingatig Island Arts Association, 2,000. North Accomack Little League, 4,000. Village Neighbors, 4,000, which comes to 28 total, which is what we have.
Okay, so have a motion made by Mayor Bowden. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. So we will we'll move this on to council under the recommendations read by Mayor Bowden for approval. One thing, Mike, we might want to consider when we're doing the budget for this year with the library and the museum and what's become their standard donations of $5,000 a year. Maybe we put that as a budget.
Line items.
Yeah, just like the matching grant we have for the Cultural Alliance. In that context, in light of this process.
Would you make any suggestions as to what the balance of donations should be if we take those out and make them line items?
Well, maybe, if they're normally 10 and we had a total fund of 28 this year, maybe next year we can go to 20 without them there, and just my suggestion.
And that's all, of course, will be worked out during the budget.
During the budget, right.
During budget deliberations.
Yep. Any other questions on that? All right. So we will move on to an update on our financial audits.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right now, we are expecting our 23 and 24 audit, which are not finished yet, to be completed, or at least the 23 audit completed in the next 3 weeks. We had some difficulty with the 23 audit because we had a little miscommunication with our auditor. And then we had some difficulty because we had some lack of knowledge in our office at the time of how to finish up tie up the end of year transfers and that sort of thing. We've worked that out. The auditors have told us they have all the information they need, finally. And we expect the 23 audit to be in the next 3 weeks or so. Okay. Now, when questioning, and I had a long conversation with our audit, the principal of our audit firm, towns in the state of Virginia with under 3,500 citizens are not required to report their audit to the state. If you have at least 3,500, you're required to report that audit. We have just under that at 3,344, and I made mention to our auditor that sometimes it feels like since we don't have 3,500, we might get shuffled to the back, which he confirmed does happen on occasion if push comes to shove. The other thing that we were dismayed with our audit process is this is the 3rd year in a row that audits had not been done on site. In prior years, except for COVID, the auditors came on site. They spent 3-4 days with us, in which we brought them all the information they need. They collected all the information they need, got started on it, and they went back to their office and finished it up at a later time. And the process worked well. And the fact that we could collaborate directly with those folks while they were here sped it up, and it was much more efficient for at least our office. They have a little different philosophy now. They want to be more efficient in their office. So the answer I got to my question about on-site audits was they're doing fewer of them now.
This
And
company or?
This company is
Okay.
doing fewer of them now. And whether that's an industry trend or not, I'm not sure. But they are doing fewer of those now. They really only go out on site to towns like ours when that town is completely committed to paper and there's no other way to do it. That's when they go on site. So we had a discussion about that. And it would be their recommendation that they keep doing them off-site. Now, my recommendation was you send at least one person here to collaborate with us so we make sure we get all of the information to you and efficiently as possible, as quickly as possible, so that there's no waste of time on anybody's. And they seemed kind of open to that. But in any event, there's enough blame to go around. Some of the blame is certainly on us or on myself, and some of it is certainly that our auditors have changed processes and weren't as efficient as they could be. So in any event, the 23 audit should be here in a few weeks. We will start with 24 audit. Well, let me back up. The 24 audit's already started, and that should be completed quickly, relatively quickly after 23 audit's done. And the 25 audit should be done on time. And I will say that on time is generally before this hiccup in 23, we were receiving the audit for instance, 21, as we were approving the 23 budget right before May. So we'd receive it in the spring of the following year. And 25 audit can be done on that schedule. If I can answer any questions.
So, with this auditor, so we're already contracted with them for our 25 audit?
We are, I believe, and I've got to find it, but I believe I've signed a letter of engagement with them for 25, which does not, it says we intend to use your services, but we have not committed, and we certainly have not paid them anything for 25.
One thing we might want to consider for future audits is, an auditor possibly that's closer. I mean, you've got Leadberry Bridge, you've got PKS, you got a list of them that are closer than what they are. Probably help that collaboration part a little bit.
It definitely would, especially if they're within a short driving distance like Accomack. I did some totally unofficial, impromptu, I should say, investigating on this last year as I was talking to my accountant. And he asked us who the town uses, and because I asked him if they did that, he said no. And he said there are fewer firms all the time that do this type of public accounting. He said there aren't that many left. But Leanne and I both had a conversation with another firm yesterday, and they confirmed some of the things that our current officer said, our current auditor said, I'm sorry. They did say, however, that with the 3,500 threshold, that it's never their intention to do that, but if push comes to shove, it could happen, but it's never their intention to do that. But we also discussed several other things concerning their policies. And she did confirm that they are taking new customers, so we have some options, at least one.
Lynn, how close are we to getting the 23 done?
So every time we reach out, they have a new list of items. So the other day they sent us this list, and within an hour I sent them all the items that were different. Because as you explained, our closing balance and our starting balance are two different amounts. So I gave them all the entries that we had that accounted for that. And when I talked to her on the phone, she said that that she was going to finish it up within the next 2 weeks, and then it would take her probably a week or two to write it up. And then at that point, it'll go to the quality control, and then hopefully we'll have the draft. And then she did confirm that FY24, since she had already started on it, would be pretty quickly thereafter. She's going to do something different this time, in that she's going to give me the entries and we'll enter them, and that way it'll be a little bit smoother going forward versus them having to account for all these adjusting entries. But yeah, so it sounded like, as Mike said, that we were going to have hopefully both of them by the end of the year.
Okay.
Our FY25 audit is going to be a little more complicated than the previous ones, though, because that was our first one expending more than the million for the ARPA stuff. So rather than the single audit, we opted for an alternative compliance. So basically, whoever audits us has to say, yes, they're in compliance with these items. So we just need the firm to agree and do that. But we did confirm that the firms are able to do that, whether it's our existing one or the other one.
Anything else you want to add to it? You good? Any other?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Like I said, hopefully we're on the right path. We've talked to them several times.
Thank you.
And Mike, you mentioned to me that we're taking some steps with Southern Software where
We are. We are. Some of our processes weren't as efficient as they could be. Our financial management system provided by Southern Software is much more capable. In fact, the system that we pay for is much more capable, has many more capabilities, I should say, than what we are currently doing. I've already set up the training. They're coming on site the first week in December to train our staff on, at least some of our staff, on these additional processes. And if we feel if we get set up properly, we can streamline a lot of this, and things will start clicking along much better. And we'll have a better understanding of the whole process. And they'll come on site, and it's fairly reasonable to get them here on site. So if we need additional training after we get taxes done, we're going to provide that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question. I know Councilman Bott had asked when he was chairman of the Budget Personnel Committee that we move from a cash to an accrual system. As far as that implementation, because I'm sure that's complicated things, some trying to transition. How far are we with that, or
Well, I'm going to let Leanne answer this because
Okay.
this is one of her pet subjects. So
You can see I'm biting at the bit. So that has been a frequent conversation that I've had with our auditors, because I have read every single one of our audit reports that you can read on the state auditor's website, right? There's 5 of them. I've read all of them. Every single one says we're accrual basis. Now, granted, when you are government reporting, your government funds have to be reported on the accrual, but if they were converting us from cash, they would have to note that. Same on our fund financials. Fund financials have to be on modified accrual, and you have to explain if you're converting from cash, and it never had that notation. So I said, look, your stuff says we're accrual. I was hired being told we're cash, and as I noticed the account names and the things that are happening, it doesn't appear that we're fully on cash. So yeah, our auditor said we've never been on cash. We've always been accrual. Our accounting software, Southern Software, also says we are on accrual. We need to do additional entries, obviously, for that to allow the budget appropriation and then the expenditures and such, and then switching it to expenses, which is going to obviously require more journal entries and such, which is why I'm in talks with Mike about transitioning some of those non-financial items off of my desk so I can focus on those entries and outlining them. But yeah, apparently we are accrual. So surprise, hopefully by next fiscal year we'll actually be doing all those entries. But yeah, we are reporting to everyone else.
And going fully to Southern Software will, with all their stuff, will help all that.
Yeah,
right?
so I have sent them an email asking them in advance of their training and such, because they recognize that we're accrual. If we switch to doing electronic POs, because it has electronic POs as an option in the system, if when they do that, say Tyler approves something and he does this PO, will that shoot over to me? So then, or does it automatically put in that as an expenditure? And then when that invoice comes in and I go and process it as an AP item, can I switch it from expenditure to expense and whatnot? So yeah, we're trying to figure out what part of that can be automated and how much of that are we actually having to do. So we're waiting to hear from Southern, but yes, that's one of our hopes, that it'll smooth some of that out.
it will also greatly, it will make great strides and save us a lot of time in things like bank reconciliation.
Yeah.
Which it should process, if compared to what we do now, it should be nearly automatic. And that saves a bunch of time and a bunch of stress in the office. So we're looking forward to getting some of those processes straightened out.
Okay. Good enough. Jay, any questions?
Is it normally the best practice to pay these guys upfront half?
They have half right now. They've been paid half for 23 and 24. They'll get the balance upon completion and approval of their report.
In the past, they haven't asked for it like that, though. It's all been one invoice at the end after you got the reports.
Is it in our best interest for our 25 audit to go ahead and stick with where we are right now, or to move on to somebody else?
I would like to continue to, at least for the short term, to work with our current auditor, but we are definitely talking to some other folks to see what's available and what help they can give us. One of the things we asked the lady that we spoke with yesterday was if they would provide any consulting services for us. As you might expect, our auditing firm is loath to provide any expertise in how we operate, and that's a conflict of interest, of course. Our software folks, who are basically bookkeepers and accountants for the same reason, don't want to get too far into our processes because they would incur some liability as well. So bringing in a consulting a person to consult and to help us straighten out some of these things, at least get started, is desirable. But when I spoke with this lady yesterday, she said they are really not set up to do that on an individual basis, and I'm looking for someone to come on site. We don't want to talk to you over the phone or do a Teams meeting or anything like that.
Right.
They're not really set up to do that, but we do, as I said, we do have Southern coming in, the trainers coming in the first week in December, and we're even going to take some online training with them, one-on-one or two-on-one with one of their trainers before they come on site, so that we can get up to speed and go as efficiently as we can with them on site. But my direction to them is I want you to look at our system as you were just setting it up brand new, and set it up properly, and let's get it straightened out. And once we learn how to do that, I'm hopeful in a few months after that we'll start working some of this out.
Yeah, we probably need to make it known too that our expectation is whoever audits us, that there is a in-person quotient of that's expected.
Yeah, definitely.
COVID's over.
Yeah. So.
I asked Mike today, well, I didn't really ask, he told me when they were coming, and I made the statement, oh, right there at tax time, that they're coming the first week of December.
Who's that, Southern?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're
And-
second
Yeah.
through the fifth. And if I can tell you that I would not even consider that if I didn't think we needed it. That was the first opportunity that we had. I tried to get them here this week, of course. But
I know we need it. It's just, you know, you can, well, you know how it is that last week of
I know
taxes.
how it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's going to be all hands on deck that we can pull to help.
it's always all hands. So
Yeah.
we'll get it done.
Just make sure they leave a good presentation disc or whatever behind when they leave.
Mhm.
So
Well, the good
they
thing.
can rewind.
Southern, we have a good rapport with them. We have a good rapport with their online folks, and when you call them, they provide answers, and they answer readily. If you need them, they answer the phone, and they tell you what you need to know generally. Like I said, they won't get too far into our processes, but when you have a question about how their system works, they're on it, and they're helping us out. So.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion on this? Okay. Thanks, Mike, for the update. Thanks,
Yes,
Leanne.
sir.
Thank you.
Or Leanne, I'm sorry. Next thing on the agenda is update landscaping RFP.
Yes, sir. We were asked by council to prepare an RFP or an RFQ for landscaping for the next season, and we've got that about done. It's about ready to go out the door. We're just reconsidering a few items that we've included right now. The specs are all written for mowing and landscaping. Excuse me. as well as herbicide and that sort of thing. We have included a bid form with that, as well as a contractor evaluation form, so that we can evaluate the contractor for whoever we hire. When we put that out, it'll be for the 2026 growing season. We expect it to start late March, early April, and it'll go through, I believe, latter part of October, maybe the first week or so in November. We will solicit contractors for that. There will be a mandatory pre-bid meeting for contractors that are interested, just because of the details involved in this. You need to have the details before you submit a bid to make sure that the bid submitted encompasses the entire scope of work that we've asked for. And while the scope of work doesn't look like it doesn't take up much paper, it is extensive once you look at it. So we were probably going to do pre-bid appointments and have the pre-bid meeting by appointment, so that we can take each individual by and show them the work individually. The normal pre-bid process will be followed. Any questions will be placed in the form of an RFI, request for information, that will be shared with all the bidders. The question and answer will be shared with all the bidders. So it's a pretty standard contracting bid process.
Okay.
But it's nearly ready to go.
All right. When do you think we'll have that out?
I expect to have it out by the first of the year.
And then you'll, 30 days after you?
It really, anybody that attends this should be able to calculate it in a matter of minutes,
Okay.
if you know your business. But yeah,
Okay.
we'll give them at least 2 weeks, maybe 3.
All right.
That should be sufficient time. Now, that's assuming that we get a good group of bidders.
Sure, sure.
If we don't get a good group, if we only have 1 or 2, we might leave it open a little longer, see if we can attract more folks. But
All right. Questions?
Is there a definition we have, landscaping, I know cutting grass and weeding and so forth?
well, the
and
scope
so on,
one,
but is that something you have already, or?
we developed it. We developed it. I'll give you a preview if you bear with me for 1 second.
So has this been vetted through Public Works yet?
Public Works has developed it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm at Public Works Committee.
Oh, no, sir, it
Okay.
has not.
Okay.
So the scope of work covers the frequency of mowing. It even covers how tall the grass can get before we do that. Standard 2.5 to 4 inches. What to do with the clippings, all of that. When you get farther down, this is general specs here. Litter and debris removal, all the safety practices, your PPE and all that sort of things, your performance expectations.
Can you send that to us so we can chew on that?
We'd like to just tune it up first. We'd have 2 or 3 more things to work out
Oh, okay.
here, and then we'll have it ready in the next week or so.
That's
But
fine.
we absolutely will send it to you as soon as it's done. Get to the second part of this. Scope of services. Just a sec. Of course, there are insurance requirements, of course. We separated it in high visibility areas such as Main Street, Max Boulevard, municipal facilities, secondary areas which are right-of-ways, open lots and trails, and then drainage and stormwater areas. Cemeteries would be in the latter, I believe. They're definitely a part of it. We even, and I believe the bid sheet that we have asks for specific, yes, Robert Reed, Memorial Park, the Municipal Center, you're going to have to submit a price for each one of those. If we want an extra mowing, then
Yeah.
we have a unit price all ready to go, so we know how much cutting Robert Reed and extra time costs and that sort of thing. And then, as I said, when you get down to the, there's a bidder certification as contractor performance evaluation that we will do on all the contractors, on the successful contractor. But as I said, it's nearly finished, but we do need to tweak a few things, and then we'll gladly send that out to you ahead of time.
Is there anything in that document related to the actual downtown area, the gardening part
Yes.
of the downtown as well?
Yes. Yes, and that, I'm gonna tell you, that's the hardest part of this to write, is what you're gonna do with the landscaping part of it. But yes, there'll be some specific directions on what to do and when to do it.
I know you mentioned it last time, but we've got V&L coming in May.
Yes.
Is any type of plan being generated just coming?
We've discussed it, and in fact, there's even a piece of equipment I'm going to buy for across the street, which will help us do pavement cleaning, that sort of thing, specifically for that. I mean, it'll help us anytime we have an event, but some things we need to do in preparation for that we're definitely going to do and try to get things out. Mary Esther and I have been discussing some improvements to the interior. She's already bought the new stage. She's working on new chairs. We've got a price on. We're getting ready to let replacement of the lights in the classroom area, the recessed lights. So all that, yes, we are working on that. We'd like to change ceiling tiles. The floors will definitely be done, that sort of thing. So yeah, we've got several things on the agenda for that.
So the actual around maintenance, do we have any plans of reseeding any areas or anything like that?
Not currently, but that certainly could be done.
Yeah, maybe that could be like an ad hoc item.
For the community center, when we had this conference, I was over there a couple of weeks ago just walking around. There's there's some maintenance inside, and I noticed some painting and things being chipped and getting into the corners where need some help. Well, on the steel beams and stuff, there's a bunch of things.
There's definitely a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And it's to do it all at one time would be a big ask, but we're definitely going to try to hit the high parts of this before that particular conference. It needs to be done anyhow, but we would definitely attempt to get all of that, the most visible things done before that conference in the spring.
Nick, Ms. Ellen, any comment as far as I know you guys are on Public Works Committee, as far as what Mike's talked about as far as the RFP? Anything you guys like to add?
No, I'll just wait
Okay.
when we get his copy with the.
Yes, and I'd be glad to go back through all my cemetery records on what it cost us to hire someone to cut the cemetery lot. I will get those all together. They need to be implemented too because it wasn't cheap.
Okay. All right. No more discussion on that. Then we'll move on to review draft employee policy manual.
Yes, sir. This is a first draft, and I will emphasize that it is a draft of the revision of our policy manual. I enlisted the help of our employment attorney who reviewed our current policy manual and said, my dear, you need all these other things just to stay legal. So there's a bunch of stuff in here that is just to stay legal. There's some things that we collaborated on to update our policies that some of them more accurately reflect the way that we actually do things. Some of them are changes.
Mike, can I ask you something real quick?
Sure.
In the table of contents, what you've gotten in red, is that's the additions or
Those sections
different
have
things?
been, those are completely new sections.
Okay.
Now, there's some tweaks in the other sections as well, but the
All right.
ones in red are things that are in there that were not in there before.
All right, because when you go down, they're not in red, and I was
Right.
like, okay, which ones are which? Okay.
And I know it's a lengthy document, and that's why I said that it's going to take, I understand it's going to take a few times chopping on this to get it in the position where it can be approved.
That was 2 pages short of the federal acquisition regulations. I work with it now, so. It was on my,
Well,
it took me 2 days to read that and kind of come.
I brought this for illustration, kind of show and tell. This is the current manual in this that we hand all new employees. It's 53 pages.
Do you furthermore agree to, do you read it to them?
We do not do that, but if you'll notice in this one, there is a place for the new employee to sign that saying they've received it and understand it.
So I read through it quite lengthy the other night. When it comes to timekeeping and time records, and just for example, is Wes responsible for his departments?
Yes, the way we do this now, department heads, and they don't have to be the actual one to keep the time, but they are responsible for time. For instance, I'm the department head basically for general government. Leanne prepares all the timesheets. And as the design manager, I do approve all department head timesheets. But each employee is responsible for making sure his time is recorded correctly, and that's the point of this.
All right. And so if each employee is responsible for making sure it's recorded correctly, who then goes back and looks over that? You or Leanne or Bonnie? Or
Well, the department head,
sure
as I
it's-
said, the department head keeps everybody's time, and they prepare each timesheet. The timesheets come in, I go through them, and I approve them, and I will tell you, I don't go through every one of 54 employees hour by hour, but I do look for certain things. Of course, I'm looking for overtime, who had the most overtime, why we had overtime, what reason we're having overtime, holiday pay. You always pay attention to that and make sure it's done correctly, because there's some specific things in there about holiday pay, especially with folks that work shifts. So we're always looking at that sort of thing. You're looking at you're looking at folks leave, you know. You want to pay attention to the leave, make sure nobody's had excessive leave. And that, I would say that's the biggest issue that comes up with employees is their leave didn't get recorded correctly, or maybe they put in for a day of leave and then they ended up not taking that day off, but that day of leave stayed on the timesheet, and they pick it up, and we make the changes right away.
and vice versa, the leave might not have got on the calendar and they took the leave.
That's always possible.
So I guess that's what I'm asking. Who's responsible for overseeing that?
Ultimately, it's always the town manager's responsibility, but the
Okay.
department heads look at it and make sure it's correct before they submit it to me.
So, being in the office as much as I am, I've noticed, and you've got it in here, you're not authorized to work through scheduled lunch or meal breaks without the prior approval of your supervisor.
Correct.
And I've noticed with the back there that's happening. Working through to leave early. Is that a standard
Sure.
practice?
But if Wes approves it, yes. That's not standard practice. But
Right.
there are times when they have to work through lunch.
And I get that.
Then there are times when he approves it. But yes, Wes would give that permission. And actually, when it says supervisor, Edwin could actually give that permission to his employees. But he does it most of the time in consultation with Wes.
And they have an option to either take a 30-minute lunch break or an hour lunch break, is that correct?
I believe it says they have to take at least 30 minutes.
Right.
But we give everybody an hour, of course.
Yeah.
But it's unpaid. That time is unpaid, so.
I just, if things like that become a habit, I guess what I'm getting to is how is sometimes the business of the town getting done? And that bothers me because you're here till probably 6, 7 o'clock at night to get stuff done. I know some people come in early to get stuff done and all that, but I just want to make sure that, the business of the town is getting taken care of. If so, and I'm just throwing this out there, and I'm using Public Works as an example. So if all of them work through their lunch break, 10 of them work through their lunch break, and they leave at what, 3? That would put them leaving at 3 o'clock, I think, right?
This time of year, they leave at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
That's correct.
And what happens if at 4 o'clock you need something?
We call them back in. If they work through their lunch break, and their lunch is unpaid normally, and they work through their lunch break, it means that we work them for their 8 hours, but they're of course finish their 8-hour shift an hour early. If we have something that happens, as it does sometimes, and I've encountered this many times, but if something happens after 3 o'clock and they leave, we'll call them back in. Just like if they left at 4 and something happened at 5:30, we'd have to call them back in. Now, is that a problem? Sometimes, but normally Public Works will leave at 4 o'clock when everybody else in the office here leaves at 5. Things do happen, yes, certainly, but they can certainly happen after 4 just as they can happen after 3.
Sure.
The important thing here is, and I think that all our departments do a good job of this, is that when we pay somebody for 8 hours, if we've paid them for 8 hours, they're taking care of the town's business, and I think we're in good shape on that.
All right, so with that being said, your exempt employees, and I know we have several of them, how do you, and I'm going to go through the community center out there for this one. I may have asked this before. All right, she works a lot of events that are at night and on the weekends. Right. How is that time kept if she needs leave for something else? I mean, how is that done?
She works, as you said, sometimes she'll be there 16 hours in a day, depending on the event, from setup to takedown. So we keep a special timesheet for her, and she puts her hours in that she has worked for that weekend. She has direction from me that you shall not work over 40 hours in a week. So she may work Saturday and Sunday and be off Wednesday and Thursday the following week to make up for that. And if I had to guess, I'm almost positive that we owe her time and not vice versa. But yes, she has a special timesheet that we keep, and the direction is, and that's why her schedule appears to be a little more flexible, and it has to be by definition. But she might not work Wednesday and Thursday, as I said, because she works Saturday and Sunday.
Right, and I get that.
And she worked all day Friday, and then Friday night for another 6 hours. She may get up. She may come in half a day Monday. And we work that out on the fly. It's one employee, so it's not hard to track. If I had 10 employees doing that, it would be a little difficult to keep track of.
Which is going to bring me to another question about leave time. And I think I talked with Billy about it. I'm not sure if I talked to Nick about it or not. So how many hours can an employee carry over leave time to the next year?
280.
All right, so if somebody's got a lot of time on the clock, a lot of leave time, then they got to use it before they lose it.
It's commonly called use or lose.
Right.
We notify employees usually in the fall, and Bonnie has been very diligent about that. She's already sent me the list this year. She sent that to me 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We notify the employee, hey, it looks like you've got over your 280. You need to take this many hours before the end of the calendar year, which is when it runs out.
Right.
And most of them are able to. I just had an employee take off a whole week, actually a little over a week, because she has a lot of time on the books and she needs to take it off. I have in some instances, depending on the circumstance, I've allowed them to carry it a little ways into the next year. I just had someone come in yesterday and tell me about something they have to do, but it's in January, right after he would have lost his leave. I said, I'll continue it through January for you so you can finish it up.
So
we try not to get too out of policy on that. So
would it be, I mean, it's their leave time, it's their money, no matter how you look at it. Would it be, correct me if I'm wrong in how I'm going to say this, Bill, like at the end of the year, all right, you've got this leave time that you couldn't use. Couldn't we just cut them a check for that?
I suppose you could. I don't know of anyone else that does
Elaborate for me,
that,
Bill,
but
please.
So there's a lot of companies out there that will allow that will allow special hourly folks to cash in 40 hours of vacation a year. Would it be possible to do something like that? 'Cause that's a whole week. Because right now, you guys, you can earn what, up to 5 weeks of vacation a year? Is that right?
6.5 hours pay period, yeah, so.
So that may be
6.8 actually.
something like that might be a start to help alleviate. And I mean, the good thing about it is too, because when you do it at the end of the year, it's almost like
Bonus, like.
a Christmas,
Yeah.
helps with Christmas or whatever, end of year expenses. So it might be something we want to consider.
If we did something, and I have not been associated with any company that does that, but if we did that, looking at it from my perspective, which got the town's budget insight, then I would say that there certainly would have to be some sort of limit on what you were allowed to cash in at the end of the year. In other words, you wouldn't be able to cash in all 5 weeks.
Well, maybe anything over that 240. I mean, 280 or whatever it is.
Well, if they want to take it, then they're
Yeah.
certainly able to
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah.
And again, we would just be talking about vacation.
Yeah.
Right, and I'll say, to go along with that, I'll say that I don't know of anyone, I'm sure it's happened. I know since I've been here, I haven't denied anybody's leave yet. Not to say that it wouldn't happen, and we've been able to maintain services, even with allowing folks to take their leave. So it's usually workable. The tough thing comes when you save it all to the end of the year. Now I've got to take 4 weeks off at the end of the year. Now that's tough because you're missing someone for a whole month. And the old saying in construction is, if I can do without you for 2 weeks, I don't need you anyhow. So
My thought of it is, would it give people an incentive not to take off?
it very
Come
well
work
may.
and get
Yeah.
to come to work and get the
And
job done.
as you said, use that for my Christmas bonus,
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that.
I know that Tyson Foods is nothing, and it might change now. Dad's been going a long time, but when Dad didn't use all his leave, they cut him a check at the end of the year, and it was great. Sometimes he used it all, sometimes he didn't. It was just an automatic thing. Here you go. But I'm wondering if it gives give people incentive. Well, hey, I'll go to work this week and we'll get some more stuff done, and
Yeah, you
I'll get money at the
figure
end of the year.
in areas where someone has to cover that job, whether it be police,
Right,
EMS,
right.
even public works, it would save you the time and expense of having to do that,
Yeah.
potentially, if they didn't want to use overtime.
Yeah, and you have, of course, with EMS and the police department, you have to backfill that position. There's not a choice. If
Right.
one of us in the office over here is out,
Right.
it's not the end of the world. We pick work up the next day. Same thing with public works.
Yeah.
We can have a little more tolerance to that, but the police department and emergency services certainly have to backfill each position.
If you have a situation where maybe somebody in the group is sick, and then somebody, and they can't come to work, and you've got an individual who has got all these hours on the book, and he wants to use that time, he wants to go on a cruise or whatever, for 2 weeks or whatever. So I think that's a good thing, that we give them some money to take care of what
Yeah.
they were possibility losing and so forth. I think that gives them incentives, I'm not to cancel the trip or anything, but just to cover,
Right. I'll say this too. I can't be for sure, but in the 5 years I've been here, I don't think we have taken anybody's leave. I don't think I've taken an hour. I'll check on that. I won't say absolutely, but I don't think we've had anybody with use or lose in a position where we actually had to take leave away from them.
And I wouldn't expect that to happen, to take leave away, but I have to wonder all right, just say if we've got a big project going on at the end of the year, and I've got this leave I got to take, but this project's got to be done, like that. I mean, I think it would be a good incentive. I really do.
Maybe what we can do is ask the employment attorney for possibly a good policy on that.
She probably has a policy all cocked and loaded.
I'm sure she does. And maybe what that looks like, and we can, I know one of the things, if you do that, it's taxed as a bonus, of course, because it's outside your regular pay, but, same thing, you get it back at the end of the year, you've overpaid anyway, so.
the rest of these items in here are,
And the comp time, how's that handled? How would that be handled in that situation? I mean, it's got a different area of when you can use it.
In what respect? If you had use or lose in comp time as well?
Right.
We don't do officially comp time. I mean, I guess you can say what I do with Mary Esther at the center might be comp time, but we pretty much try to limit her hours to 40. That's just a change in schedule,
Yeah, that's
basically.
always.
That's just a change in schedule, which the policy currently allows me to do. We don't encourage comp time. It is helpful now and then for people, but we don't. Well, let me say this: if you have some comp, we encourage you to use it quickly and not carry it over. But since there's no official policy on comp time, there's no official use or lose policy either. But if you happen to get a couple hours comp or some hours comp or whatever you have, we do encourage folks to use it.
well, Mary Esther is definitely in a unique category
Yes.
because of the
Right.
events.
Yeah, and what I would classify as her schedule is we change her schedule constantly so
Mhm.
she doesn't exceed 40. We make every effort to change that so she doesn't exceed 40. And that's
Mhm.
the changing the schedule is allowed in the policy, as is most policies I've seen.
So, I guess I'm confused with how leave is taken with somebody in that position. She earns leave on those 40 hours, but then I guess she would take her leave if she,
Well, if she's, for instance, if she's worked Saturday and Sunday, let's say she works Saturday and Sunday at 8 hours, and she's going to take off Tuesday and Wednesday to change her schedule so she
Right.
doesn't exceed 40, but she said, hey, I'd like to have Thursday off as well. Okay, well, now you're getting 8 hours.
gotcha,
leave.
okay.
Anything over and above that 40 that she has in a week, she would take leave for.
Okay.
Do we have anything set up for sick leave, say a person, just throwing it out there, I'm looking at my past here. We have somebody that sick and is done
Donating leave?
donating leave,
No.
any type of sick leave policy.
No, we do not have a policy on that. It's been talked about. I know the federal government, I think, does that, but we do not do that. We don't have a policy, and this does not contain that. Neither does what we do have a sick bank.
It has limits on it,
Yeah.
how much one person can donate
Right.
to another person.
And we do have a sick bank in here, which is similar to where I came from. We maintain a sick bank at 90 days. We take a day from you when you join, and we try to maintain the bank at 90 days. And the policy says that when the bank gets low, we'll assess everyone another day to make up, to get it back to 90 days where it should be.
I've got one more question.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry about that. 11.15, is that inclusion based on, does that have anything to do with COVID or anything? What we went through with COVID or?
During COVID, no. During COVID, what had been set up when I got here, I came in the office with one other person each day. It didn't matter much to police or EMS or even Public Works because they could naturally separate. But during COVID, as far as the office goes over here, I came every day and everybody else rotated one day in the office. Some jobs are not conducive to working remotely. We do not have currently a remote work policy, although I do allow it when it makes sense. I'll give you, for instance, we have one employee that comes from quite a distance every day. It's like an hour and 15-minute drive. The day after pony penning, when we get half that day off, the afternoon, I told that employee to work from home that day, that half a day. So there wasn't a back and forth commute for that long a distance. And the work she does, she can do very well from home using a VPN. Wayne, you have a VPN, right? I have a VPN. We can work off-site on any Wi-Fi through a secure link from our VPN. And with certain ones of us, it makes sense because we don't have to physically be in the office to do our work. But I don't encourage it because I like collaboration in the office. this adds a remote work policy for the first time.
So if we encourage our auditors, we should encourage ourselves as well.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not encouraging our auditors, I'm gonna tell you, but
You added 511 inclement weather and other emergencies.
that is what's commonly referred to in the federal government world a liberal leave policy.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and I will tell you this happened recently. It's not an issue now, but it could very well be an issue. And the liberal leave policy pretty much takes care of it. But it's not an easy call unless it's in policy, which is why it's here. I fully agree that when we have inclement weather and it threatens us, some of our folks, for instance, from getting off the island, be it snow or high water or high winds, whatever, then I'm all for sending them home so they can be safe. Okay? You know, our current policy says that every worker is essential and every worker will be assigned to a spot in the organization where they can be useful, I'm paraphrasing now, during whatever emergency it is we have. If I'm going to send a worker home because I don't want them to be stuck here on the island, like kind of unique situation, then I'm basically giving that employee a few extra hours of leave. Now I have an imbalance with the employees I sent home and the employees that are still here. The liberal leave policy, and I've worked and lived in D.C. and Baltimore for several years, and when anything threatening weather came up, any radio station you listen to said all federal workers, a liberal leave policy is in effect, meaning you did not need approval to take leave for that day. If you thought you were going to have trouble getting in because of the snow or the high water, you simply called your supervisor or not and said, I'm on leave today. Okay, but you got charged leave. Right now, if I send, and not their fault, but if I send, pick a number, 10 workers home because we don't think they're going to be able to get across the causeway, then I've got 10 workers who got an extra 2, 3, 4, 5 hours leave, whatever it was, and the other folks here didn't get the benefit of that extra 4 hours of leave or whatever it was. So how do you make that equitable? It's very difficult unless you give everybody else here the same 4 hours. So the liberal leave policy takes that out of the equation. But you do get charged leave if you go home that day. Now, it's a different thing. If we close altogether, we're closed.
Right.
And, police and fire, or police and EMS still have to pull their shifts. But if we close, public works is off, then the main office, all the office work, we're off, and nobody gets charged any leave. But if we're still open, and some folks are still working, then you've got an imbalance there. And this just simply takes care of the imbalance. I knew there was going to be some controversy about this when I put it in there, but to be quite honest with you, I don't see another way other than the two I've talked about here of making it equitable. And to date, it has not been, what I've been doing has not been an issue. So I'll just throw that out there as well. And that is, if we have inclement weather that's threatening, I send folks home.
But you're charging them leave,
I
no?
do not.
But in here, according to this, though, you would.
Unless they're already on leave when the liberal
What's that?
leave, unless they've already applied for
Correct.
leave that day.
Yeah, no. Currently, when I send them home because of inclement weather, no, we have not been charging them leave.
Okay. But if you implement this, you will.
We would. If we'd say it's liberal leave meaning you don't need approval, you can just take it and say, I'm not doing
Right.
that.
Yeah, we have a policy very similar to that.
As I said, to date, everybody understands what's going on.
Mhm.
It's never been an issue, but there could be a time when it was an issue, and if we're going to redo policy, it's time to at least take a look at it.
Any more discussion?
I want to look at one thing real quick.
Okay.
11, 15, and 16, what he just hit on. As soon as I can get to it. There we go. So only a few people could work from home.
Not everyone is approved to work from home. Every job can't be done from home.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
What did we do during COVID?
As I said, people were doing what they could from home.
Uh-huh.
But there were only a few VPNs issued
Mhm.
in the office.
Mm.
And I don't know how it was originally set up by my predecessor, but I would come in every day and work, and one of the ladies usually came in that day to work and ran the front office. Excuse me. And they would rotate that every day.
Okay.
No one missed a paycheck because of COVID that I'm aware of.
Extraordinary times.
All right, I'm good.
Okay. All right, no further questions or comments. We'll move on to review excise tax ordinance. Mike?
Yeah, so there's been some question as to what we can do with specifically meals tax, businesses who are delinquent in meals tax. We've discussed this a few times before. I've gotten opinions from our attorney. Basically, if you read the meals tax regulation or ordinance that we have, if you read it all the way through, it assumes that eventually the tax will be paid. And while it says that a class 1 misdemeanor if you don't pay your taxes, class 3 if it's over $1,000, it even states that if the taxes aren't paid, the town manager will basically come up with an idea to collect those taxes. It basically leaves it to the town manager to complete those taxes. Currently, we do have a few restaurants in arrears on their meals taxes. Not many, but a few. In the past, I have not a lot, but I have set up payment plans before for a few businesses and for some individuals with property taxes as well, if they made sense. But I think there was a desire to maybe put some more guidelines in this ordinance, which is why it's on tonight's agenda.
Do you have any suggestions for us as we go into the discussion, or?
The rereading in the last few days the attorney's opinion on what could be done, and I will tell you, because this is very similar to the BPOL, which is Business Professional Occupation License, which is also a tax. There's not a lot of concrete things that you can do. It would be the ultimate thing would be to apply the excise tax to property taxes, in which case, if they're still overdue at a specific time, you can advertise the property for sale, and that gets folks' attention when it's worth more than $1,000 or so. That is not permitted with meals tax and excise taxes. So I highlighted the areas that the attorney says that are important in his opinions, and the attorney's opinions get kind of lengthy. First, the town has no ultimate authority to close a business that has not renewed their business license or has not paid their meals tax. They have no police power to shut down a business. So that's a non-starter. The town can take the authority to levy on equipment and furnishings of a business, whether you remove them or just tag them saying they now belong to the town of Chincoteague. And for some reason he said that you can accomplish, tagging them, you can accomplish a similar result. You can actually go into a business, remove equipment, furnishings and equipment, and say we're taking this in payment for the back taxes. I don't know that that's been done. I've never done it. It can be done legally according to our attorney. You can also create a lien against the property, in which case any time that it needs to be, the title needs to be clearer, which is when you would sell it or when you would refinance it, for instance, that lien would have to be satisfied before those transactions could go through. And the lien, to my knowledge, the lien sits there until then. You can also sue. You could get a warrant in debt for the property, warrant in debt for the amount owed, and then once that's certified, you could just flat out sue. But that's assuming that the person you sue has some method that they could pay you. Because even if you get judgment against them in a court of law, if they don't have any money, you're still you would have to, I guess, attach the property. All those things are fairly complicated, but may be appropriate in the right instance. So that was the attorney's, about the extent of the attorney's advice. Again, here's his advice on getting a lien. Seizing business property. You can't seize the real estate, but apparently we can take the equipment.
Not no product.
He did not mention product, and I'm not sure. In all cases, you'd want the product, but,
Right. I'd still say, and with the few that we run into problems with, that if you take the hard stance one time of going in and start picking up tables and beer coolers and everything else, cash registers and all that, you'll see a turnaround and word will get out. And I know we've not done that, and I don't want to see any business fail. And I want to see every business on here do well. But the bottom line is they're breaking the law, right? By not paying up.
The money's
constitutes
collected,
embezzlement.
The money's collected by these excise taxes, which include meals and transient occupancy, are collected, and it says right in the ordinance, they're collected in trust from the town of Shingatig. In other words, they are not yours. You get the privilege. And I used to actually tell my customers when I was in the motel business, they complained about the tax. I said, well, here you go. You get 5% to the town, 5% to the county, and I get the pleasure of collecting it and remitting it. So you're complaining to me, but you shouldn't be. In any event, yes, they're collected in trust for the town, and there actually is a section in the state code that says if you spend those trust monies knowingly, then you can be charged with embezzlement.
Yeah, I think the important thing to distinguish here is it's different from real estate and personal property taxes.
Mhm.
Yes.
This is money that you charge customers, that you collected on our behalf or the state's behalf or whoever it is. Now, when someone gets into arrears, like let's say it's been 30 days and you haven't received payment.
We have a standard letter which is dictated, that we send them, which is dictated in the ordinance. When you're 10 days, the tax is due on the 20th of the month. When you're 10 days past, we send you a letter. April's very good about bringing in the letters. We wrote it years ago. I sign the letters. It goes to the specific business. We stopped sending them certified mail because it's getting around $10 a piece now for that. It makes much more of an impact when an officer with a badge and a gun delivers that letter to you. So we send them out to the police department and they deliver them.
Now, can that letter be left with anybody, or does
Yes.
it have to? It can be left with anybody.
That's my understanding. It can be left with anyone.
Does it have to be a manager or something like
Even
that?
though it's addressed to the owner, it can be left with anyone, is my understanding. I've never tested that in court, of course, but it's my understanding it can be left with anyone.
Over 18.
Right?
Yeah, someone responsible.
No different than a certified receipt. It could be signed for whoever picks up the mail,
Right.
or the mailman brings it into.
Correct. So we send that letter at the 10 days, and that letter, and I can send you all a copy of it, that letter says you have 10 days to remit the tax. At such time, if the tax is not remitting, your business license is revoked, which opens up a whole nother issue. But just like what we're talking about here, to try to get them, even though their business license is revoked, we can't close them. We can't go in and say, you can't open today, you don't have a business license. And the attorney makes that very clear. In fact, he said there are a few localities in the state of Virginia who actually have it in their charter that they can padlock a business. He said, but those are things that are going to go away. He says, because the General Assembly, every time that comes up, there's no one there that's willing to vote for that right for a town or a city to be able to padlock a business. There's no desire there for that. So one day I would expect those few localities who have that in their charter, that will probably go away.
When you have your repeat offenders, and this happens month after month after month, and then you've got April or Louise or whoever's in there having to do those same things over and over and over again with the same results, which is either, all right, they'll pay one and then wait another time before they have to do it again. And
We have at least one that does that.
right. Or you've got somebody that is so far back.
I have
The
one.
results are the same. You're not getting the money that's due to us.
We have a few that are now and then that will miss their 20th day deadline. We have a few frequent flyers. We have at least one that is constantly in arrears by 1 month, and then they'll go two and they'll catch the second one up, so they're still staying on 1 month. And then I have one on a payment plan right now to catch up a larger sum.
I really think because it gives you've tried everything. You've done everything except for the hard-nosed thing, which is going in and
We
seizing.
haven't shown up with a dump truck and start taking out
Loading
beer
up.
coolers.
Right.
Nor have you, at least not in recent times, got liens on property or gone down a warrant in debt.
Correct.
Which we used to do.
I have taken owners to court. I go across the hall here to the police department, and I get a magistrate on the line, and we swear out a warrant, literally, and they serve that to them, and owner has to meet me in court. And I will tell you what happened the last time I took an owner to court. No fault of hers, no fault of mine, but the court date was set for 10 a.m., say on a Tuesday, and the owner showed up at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, except my subpoena said 11 a.m. that Tuesday. And when I showed up at 11, they had dismissed the case. The judge even told me that it was not my fault, that they messed it up in the court. So, in any event, that owner was wrong, and that owner was going to be found guilty. We had all the paperwork. It's not much to it. It's very simple. I mean, you didn't pay taxes. Here's what you owe. But I have yet. If it wasn't for that one, I would have had a judgment from the judge and could see what could be done. But that case, as I said, got messed up.
But the process would have worked. If
The process would have worked, yes.
So when you go get a warrant in debt, and it goes before the judge, and he awards the town the judgment, what steps are taken then to get some of that money? I mean, because that could go on.
My understanding is a warrant debt only certifies that the money's owed.
Right.
Once the warrant debt is certified, then you can go and sue them to collect the debt. And you'd have to go out and hire a lawyer and say, or get our lawyer and say, okay, we're going to take you to court for the debt. There's been an opportunity or two to do that, and I will say that even the ones that get behind occasionally catch up.
Right.
And we send a letter, we put the thumb, we make a phone call, and we encourage them, and they catch it up. Now, like I said, I've got one on a payment plan that has to be dealt with, and I will deal with that one, and payments are being made, and there's some other things that we're going through to catch that one up. But
when you say catch up, do they get behind again?
no, not any more than what we've talked about. In fact, I would say 35% has already been paid back of the total debt. 35%. Yeah, probably 30 to 35% of it's already been paid back on the payment plan. It's we have a signed agreement with that individual to make payment. There's some other things going on that individual should be able to pay us back. And we're keeping close tabs on that. I have regular conversations with them, and I'm confident we'll be able to take care of that. But if all these things are open or options for us, should that start to should he not start to honor that agreement again?
So, I mean, one thing to consider, especially if it's over a certain amount, whatever that amount is, maybe as collateral for the payment plan, there is a lien put against property. You know,
In this case, and I've given
because we could do a lien anyway.
in this case, and I've given this some thought, that may be the most efficient manner, efficient thing to do it. And it's fairly easy to get. I mean, you certify the debt, and then file a lien. It's all attorneys that do that. It's minimal cost, and then anytime a transaction happens, that would have to be satisfied.
And look, you're talking about, 99% of the people do what they're supposed to do routinely.
As I told you recently, TOT is completely caught up. There's no
Mhm.
money delinquent on that.
Mhm.
So, yes, most of the owners are very conscientious. They're in there by the 20th, even if they're a few days late. And we're sticklers for that date. And we understand, because the ladies in the office, they know the owners.
Mhm.
And they can tell you, this will be okay,
Mhm.
But we'll send a letter out on it after the 10th. April will bring it in, while sign them, we'll send them out and give them 10 days. Their business license is automatically revoked after that. And if you read the ordinance, it says, and when payment is made and their arrears are satisfied, then the business license is automatically reinstated.
So when someone owes a debt like this against the town, can they still get additional services? Like, can they permits, anything like that? Nothing.
All that's done.
Okay.
All that's done. And the ladies up front all know that. We all know that. If you owe the town back taxes and personal property, real estate, meals, transit, if you owe taxes, anything, that we don't do any other business with you. If you owe water bill,
Mhm.
you're not going to get a permit
Mhm.
from us to do business. That's an absolute.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the discussion going forward probably needs to be, okay, what criteria do we want to put in place for what constitutes when, we'll go get a lien, what constitutes, we're in debt, what that may be. What might be a good starting point, Mike, and I don't know if any of them do, but our cohorts, if they have any policies in place that maybe already shape that up for us.
At least on the business license thing, we all talk about this
Yeah.
constantly, and the folks that I talk to regularly and their attorneys scratch their head on this. We haven't found an absolute perfect solution for this yet.
So looking up some things here about consequences for non-payment, you can refuse a new license.
Mhm.
Can refuse to issue or renew a business license.
And we do. You won't get a renewal unless you've paid the other one.
But they can still open up without it?
We can't close them.
And what you got to think about, what we're talking about, it's not even about their business license.
Right.
It's
It's a
Just-
tax.
a
Yeah,
tax.
yeah.
It's a tax. And Mr. Polson, when he was the town attorney, made that very clear,
Mhm.
that the business license is nothing but a tax.
Yeah.
So do we have a penalty for operating without a business license?
We do not.
Well, there you go.
We don't have one that's enforceable, let's put it that way. Misdemeanor for any person to conduct businesses to engage in profession, trade, or occupation before procuring a license as required.
Yeah, probably. I'm thinking a good starting point is if we start, probably the easiest way to quantify this is by the amount that they owe. And maybe we have thresholds as far as like if it's 5,000, if it's 10,000 and above, these are the things that we're going to do systematically. And that's why I was thinking, I didn't know if, one of these other towns had something like that set up already where.
Well, a few years ago when we adopted Municode, they also came with that was it's called MuniPro.
Mhm.
The MuniPro gives you access. I'll pull it up here right now. MuniPro gives you access to everybody who in this country who has signed up with MuniCode, which is a lot of folks. And when you log in, you just type in what you want. You type in a keyword, business license. You can limit your search to the entire country, or you can limit it to the state. But usually I limit it to Virginia because you have to follow. We're a Dillon state. You have to follow Virginia law. So I can look. That's where dumpster ordinance came from.
Mm-hmm.
They came from Chatham, Virginia.
Mhm.
I looked in MuniPro. I found a good one. Hey, here we go. Look at this, and we modify it. It allows you to print it in Word. We can modify it, tune it up, and it's very useful for this sort of thing.
So maybe for our next meeting, if you do some research,
Sure.
be a good place to start.
Do we set the penalty and interest?
Yes. The state code. I believe,
Okay,
does
that's what
that.
I was
It's
wondering.
10%, 10 and 10. I think state code.
It's been on us forever.
And when these people are late, we're collecting that. That's in there, right?
Yes, ma'am. Always. Even a payment plan is still in there.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I have a couple pit bulls in the office there that will not let you get away with that in penalty and interest.
Mhm.
You don't pay it.
All right, so we'll table this to the next meeting with Town Manager Talbot giving us some different, Town Manager Talbot giving us some additional information. All right, consider new scholarship. Mr. Talbot?
Miss Sherry Tarr, wife of Jack Tarr, recently deceased. One of Jack's wishes was to establish a scholarship for those folks who are attending a school to learn trades. Sherry did open an account at Taylor Bank, and I understand that account has quite a bit of money in it right now. I did tell her that I would bring to council the idea of the council administering that scholarship on his behalf, Jack being former mayor for several years. So what I would like is to the committee to okay me to proceed with establishing, with the family's help, of course, a criteria for award of the scholarship, amounts, that sort of thing, and then bring it to council for approval. We'll draw it up as an official scholarship program and bring it to council when it's ready, or we'll bring it back for this committee, whatever you'd like, and have that approved so that we can start awarding that scholarship on an annual basis.
I had asked if the town, if it's appropriate, can we donate to the scholarship? Are we allowed to do that?
The good thing, yeah, and the good thing for right now is it's self-funded. So that's something we can certainly discuss, moving down the road. But it's a good amount of money in the account. One thing that sets us apart from a lot of them is this is specifically for a trade,
Right.
Right.
and it would be for a Shindig High School students.
There's not too many out there.
Mm-mm.
No.
Concentrate on trades.
Yeah.
I think I'm happy to make a motion to the committee to administer the scholarship in conjunction with the family. That's my motion.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. So, Mr. Talbot, you have the authority to proceed.
All right, thank you all. I appreciate that.
And that's everything that's on our agenda. Open up for council comments or committee comments. Jay, anything?
Use my words tonight.
All right. So with that being said, in accordance with section 2.2-311A1 of the Code of Virginia, I move that the Budget Personnel Committee convene a closed session for the discussion of specific personnel matters.
Second.
Thank you, Liam.
Thank you.
Sorry I kept you so late.
Thank you. Yeah,
Sorry to keep
stretch.
you late too, Nick.
7th inning stretch.